Oh boy, what a year that was.
It's still August?
Exactly. It's a relief that I'm done with a year that was July 2025.
Okay, then. IDs for themes, anyone?
Can I just feel relieved for a moment more, please?
We just used the word relief twice on this intro, which officially makes it the theme now. Welcome to this very relieving episode of the Music Arcade.
Oh, I don't even have to do the intro. What a relief. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Music Arcade. I'm Galen, the Sound Guy Firestone.
I'm Ronikel.
And I'm Eddie, and I'm relieving myself of work right now to record this.
Thank you very much for doing so.
Adding off work and in general, that too.
Okay, we're already off to the races. So
starting strong on this one.
Some context. My July was something of a nightmare. I got a lot of those problems fixed. Even as of yesterday, as of recording, I was finishing up a fairly long to-do list and actually have everything pre-trip done. I'm taking a trip to Los Angeles to see some beach volleyball in the next week as of recording.
Yeah, I think when the issues of the month cap out with that tsunami alert, it's fair to say it has been quite a month.
It really has.
I mean, that would be even scarier for me, given that I'm inland, but
I was gonna say your month of July managed to be worse than my month of June, and I almost lost my computer, which is also my work tool.
Yeah.
But, well, at first, when discussing theme possibilities, the theme of catastrophe and disaster came to mind at first. Given that by that point, we just had the info that this tsunami alert didn't cause much damage in most of the areas concerned, I wanted to focus on the positive. So, relief.
Relief's a good one, and it's been a relief getting a lot of stuff in my life done, and it's been a relief actually being able to record this episode. We had some difficulties over the weekend. You know, what else is new for this crew? And I'm glad to get right back into it, and apparently we have some leftovers. Someone forgot to finish our meal last week.
I'm not done talking about Destiny, god damn it.
Oh, so that was the lunchbox in the fridge labeled "More Destiny, Do Not Touch."
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, this is a track I touched upon very, very momentarily in a previous episode when we talked about the Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire concert last year. It was one of my interests for the now playing segment at the end of the episode. But
as far as I'm concerned, it's always fine to double dip and have a now playing track reappear in the body of an episode.
Yeah, and this when the theme of relief was agreed upon, this instantly came to my mind because it works on multiple levels, to be honest. But for context, this is kind of literally something that plays after where we ended off our previous episode. Because our previous episode, we finished with the one of the two songs that play when players are fighting the witness at the very end of Destiny 2, the final shape.
Damn, we should have had a bigger cliffhanger or something for these two-parter.
Yeah.
I promise I look like I almost die when we do another one of those.
I believe it.
Excellent.
But yeah, so to keep a long sequence of events in the game short, you have all that big fight with a big event with a lot of people at the same time, and then you have one hell of a roller coaster of emotions in a cinematic after it, where one character does in fact actually die for good. So it is a roller coaster of emotions indeed. But that closes with a credit sequence where after all this time plays. This credit sequence actually also includes a little bit of an epilogue of sorts where they show scenes of like what some of the main characters, so to speak, are doing, both friends and enemies, as a hint to the future. But a very interesting thing about this song is that an earlier version of it has been known by the player base since at least 2013. It was used in an April Fool's video about a lion man player race.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that was for Destiny 1 still. It wasn't even Destiny 2 yet.
Shout out to the Hrothgar, I guess.
Or shout out to the Char in Guild Wars.
I think this is really a reference to the Kilrathi from Wing Commander, if I had to really guess.
I have no idea. I only watched like a little bit of the video. Just enough to confirm the song was there.
The dates match Guild Wars 2, which had the playable Char released in mid to late 2012.
Who knows, I guess. But yeah, so clearly this song was in the Bungie vaults for a while. It sounded a bit different at the time. It wasn't the same as what we now hear under the name after all this time.
Well, yeah, that's logical. One was an early test for a Destiny 1 April Fool's video, and the other one was the end credits to the main arc of Destiny 2, by the sounds of it.
So what you mean to say is that it makes sense it changed after all this time?
Yes. Yes.
What was I supposed to do? Not do that joke?
No, I know. I can still be annoyed by it, but you are functionally correct.
And don't you forget it.
You are not relieving Galen of the puns. That's been clear.
That would be a bridge too far for this crew, that's for damn sure.
Yep, that tracks. But yeah, this, honestly, having played the game, and I should note, I'm not that much of a Destiny veteran. I may talk about it a lot on the podcast, but for the first half of the franchise, I haven't really played it much, if at all. I mostly played the latter half of the saga, but it still kind of brings a bit of a tear to my eye when I listen to the song, because it is
understandable.
It is a very strong moment, the ending to the final shape, and it was very, very well done. And the music really reinforces the feelings that you get from the scenes too.
Yeah, it definitely still has the 3 songs in that trench coat syndrome of Destiny soundtrack we've listened to so far, but it makes it work with very smooth transition from one to the next, which gives it a bit of an anthology song vibe to it that says, yeah, we went through that odyssey, and at the end of the day, we still made it out alive. It's a very soft, very rounded song, and parts of it reminded me of a track from Space Cam, which was a lovely little soundtrack as well. Very different in scope, of course, but yeah, no, I really like this one.
I do too, actually, which I know is a surprise given how intensely negative I was in the Destiny episode. Listening to it back, I'm like, wow, I was angry that day. So I kind of want to go back and, like, just say the last song you had, the big one, I really did like that. I, for some reason, never chose to vocalize that effectively. So I want to kind of go back and clarify that, yeah, it has some good stuff. Meanwhile, I do like this actually better than anything you played before. My exact words were, it actually sounds like someone from Halo worked on this.
Well, you would be correct, because Michael Salvatori has been involved in every expansion.
Right, but it definitely didn't sound that way with your with your track list last time. I was very like, this sounds like everything but Halo, which is weird coming from the Halo team.
Yeah, it's not. I wouldn't say it's the Halo team to be fair. I believe Halo, as far as I know, it was pretty much mostly just Michael Salvatori and Martin O'Donnell.
Right.
And, both of them worked on Destiny 1, but Martin O'Donnell left during development. There's some issues that are not relevant to this podcast, but he left Bungie very early into Destiny's lifetime. So, meanwhile, a lot of other composers have joined and have worked with Salvatore. So it's not quite the same team, though. The senior composer has remained the same since the Halo days.
Yeah.
And
but this one definitely had actual Halo energy, at least to my listeners' ears. Definitely, like I said, definitely gives them credit vibes. The thing I noticed is around the 2-minute mark, there's some Yasunori Mitsuda inspiration. I heard some, like, little bit of Guardia Castle in there and a funky bass line, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. I like that.
Ooh, that's a nice cut.
I will need to double check the credits scene, because if memory serves well, it's actually kind of somewhat synced to what you're seeing. So, like, when the song gets a bit more, not necessarily bass heavy, but bassier, you're seeing the villains, if I recall correctly, including a scene where there's a villain actually picking up a sword, which implies things to come. So I would have to check.
Yeah, this was around the 2-minute to 2-minute 30 mark. So I'm interested in hearing back on that.
Yeah, so that the entire 2-minute thing, the entire bit at 2 minutes onwards, it actually covers multiple different scenes of allied characters and how they're doing now after the events of the expansion.
Okay.
But the bit in particular that you mentioned reminded you of the Guardia Castle theme.
Yes.
It covers, so this end credit cinematic is done in a sort of ink blot style that Bungie likes to do for stuff that isn't like events that are currently happening necessarily, when it's more lore cutscenes.
Yeah, I remember that from Halo 2. You go to the terminals and it switches to kind of cartoony.
Yeah, in Destiny it's not full on cartoony, but sort of like ink blot, almost like a manga in a way.
Yeah.
And the bit with the horns that sound like the Guardia Castle, it covers 2 pairs of characters. So the first pair is a character named Eris Morn and another named the Drifter. There's nothing really special about what they're doing in the scene, but they're 2 characters that have always been very lonely characters. They always stood alone in their corners. But over the past year and a half, they've developed a romance with each other.
Ha!
And in fact, the final season of the Final Shape before the Edge of Fate expansion had Eris Morn dying and the Drifter almost fleeing entirely the solar system out of grief before it's revealed that she managed to come back to life. And then they officialize their romance.
As one does.
So it's a sweet story told through some kind of dark moments, because they deal with the darker elements of the lore. And after them, in the credits cutscene, you have a pair of siblings. It's Mara Sov. She's the queen of the Awoken, who are some people joke that they are basically space elves. Their lore is complicated, but they're basically humans trapped in a singularity, kinda. I'm overly simplifying. And besides her is her brother, who now goes by the name Crow. He used to be a villain. In fact, last episode I had a song called Guardian Down, which was for the sort of a funeral march for a guardian in the Forsaken expansion.
Right.
So the Crow in his previous life, he was the murderer in that scene. And we kill him in Forsaken. And then he's brought back to life in a future season. But what happens in Destiny when people are brought back to life under the light as guardians is that they lose all memory of their previous life. And that's what happened to the Crow. He used to be named Odrin Sov. Now his name is just the Crow. And his entire character arc has a big finale in Final Shape as well. Because he starts off doubting himself because everyone sees him as the murderer, but he doesn't remember murdering anyone.
Right.
And then he learns about his past and he feels a lot of guilt, and eventually he makes peace with his past. And in the Final Shape, it comes to a crescendo where he is not only a trusted member of the Vanguard, who are the main group of good guys, but he becomes the leader of the Hunter class because they trust him that much now. So I guess you could say it's the two scenes that you that are covered with that bit that reminds you of the Guardia Castle theme are scenes that showcase characters that have grown a lot of character development and who went from being unreliable at best to being pinnacle, the pinnacle of what the good guys could become, let's say.
Lovely.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, and it ties nicely to that idea that even though there were some issues along the way, in the end, through the action of your character and many others allies, even those that weren't always allies, things turned out for the better. So that's a relief.
There you go. Figured it out. You cracked the code,
Yep.
Rana.
I know. I'm very smart.
Oh, Lord. But yeah, as for the theme of relief and this song, like I said, it works on multiple levels in my mind. Because in one hand, there's the feeling of relief that your character is meant to feel. Because you're finally done with this 10-plus-year-old war. Which it's lasted 10 years for you and your character, but for the universe, it's been longer. It's been thousands of years, potentially. It also works as a feeling of relief that this is a rare case of a live service game where they started with an ending in mind and they actually got to execute the ending they wanted. Which
Yeah,
That is
turns out
good.
a bit of closure is nice.
Isn't it just?
Yeah, and we don't get that in live service games very often, annoyingly.
Indeed.
Something
on a third-
raging about Endwalker or something. Sorry.
But on a third level, it also works for relief in that it's a song, like I said, people have known about its existence since 2013 at least, potentially longer. And everyone seems to have wanted to see it in the game, to hear it in the game. I wasn't playing the game yet at the time. I started Shadowkeep was 6 years ago. That was when I started, 2019. But it's a relief for the fan base that the song actually was used and used in a very good context at that. So it works on several
it
levels.
feels
for
like
the
a nice
game.
payoff.
It does. And it's re-listening to it's like reliving a good memory of what the final moments of the Final Shape were like, because it really was really well written, and I'm very happy that one of the lead writers, who was in fact responsible for one of the ending cinematics, is the current narrative director for the game. So that's really cool.
There you go.
And also, that's a relief because you wouldn't like to have a bad writer be the narrative director.
No, you would not. You would not like a bad writer to be the narrative director. That seems problematic.
No, this track has had a conclusion in mind. It's very soft. It's very calm. In sharp contrast to the track that's coming next. So let's talk about Receive You, the Hyperactive.
Yeah, okay, so this is... Relief was not the intended emotion for this track. For obvious reasons, it's a boss music.
Yeah.
But I felt great relief anyway. And in order to explain why, I actually need to go back to something I touched upon last episode that is going to sound like a massive tangent, but it will come back around, I promise.
Take us on a journey.
I'm
will.
Listening.
So, back in the previous episode, I mentioned I was a massive Star Trek fan. Lifelong Star Trek guy. Very first movie I ever saw in the movie theater was Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, which is by all rights a bad movie. I can't hate it. I can't hate that movie.
Of course.
In the long ago days of 2009, a reboot of Star Trek was released with a new cast.
Yeah.
And I was like pretty on board with most of the cast. I thought Chris Pine was pretty neat as Kirk, Zachary Quinto seemed great as Spock, Simon Pegg as Scotty. This just looked good to me. But there was one kind of big, like, what, really, this guy? And that was a then fairly unknown actor by the name of Carl Urban playing Leonard Bones McCoy.
I think I see where you're going with it. Continue.
So, having grown up with the OG crew, DeForest Kelley as McCoy is just this incredibly iconic performance.
Oh, yeah.
And by this point, I only knew Carl Urban from Lord of the Rings, where he had a very minor role, and Red with Bruce Willis, which was good, but I'm like, oh no, and Doom. Let's not forget the Doom movie, because that was such a good movie, right? So this guy did not have what I consider to be a great track record. There was nothing bad about him, but he hadn't, like, shown me that he could play, of all people, Bones McCoy. Come on. Anyway, so I'm at the theater with my girlfriend at the time, and we're watching 2009 Star Trek. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that it takes someone special to sell lines such as, I'm a doctor, Captain, not a podcaster.
Ha! Anyway, so I'm in the theater with my girlfriend. I'm watching this movie, and so far it's good. And there's this scene in a shuttle, and from off screen, I start to hear some very familiar ranting. And I literally sink into my seat and vocalize in the theater, oh, thank God. Carl Urban nailed it. He was Bones, period. And that was the moment I became an actual Carl Urban fan. And since then, he's done a lot of great stuff. If you haven't watched Dredd, go watch Dredd. But my point is, he absolutely nailed it. The only other time I felt that relief was at the moments coming up to this song. You see, I'm a dirty heathen. I play games in English whenever possible. And Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon was the first time the mainline Yakuza series had a dub. Judgment had a dub prior to this, but this was the first time, well, since the first game, but only memers count that one, let's be honest.
I do.
Well, you're a memer, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you're qualified there.
Look, I'm not going to pretend that Mark Hamill as Majima never existed, okay?
There's no reason to, but that does come around nicely to a pretty big fear of mine. By this point, I'd played a whole lot of games starring these characters, and Hidenori Ugaki's performance as Goro Majima was iconic. And I'm like, exactly. Wow, that was really good, actually.
Thank you.
And I'm like, I love this guy's performance. I have for like 8 or so games by now, and now I'm playing it in English. I'm not getting that. I'm getting Matt Mercer. Now, Matt Mercer, unlike Carl Urban at the time, had already cemented himself as an excellent actor. I have nothing but love for the guy. But Majima felt a little out of his range. Or so I thought.
Majima is a very specific kind of voice and tone and style of speech to hit.
He really is. And then here we are, Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon. The scene warms up. I see the boots as he walks on screen, not really in view. But
you recognize those boots.
Oh, I recognize those boots. I was like, oh. And suddenly he
Even
speaks.
among the Yakuza, nobody else could be that tacky.
And I heard his voice. And I heard Matt Mercer as Goro Majima ramping up to this boss fight where this music plays. And he nailed it. It was the same feeling I had with Carl Urban and Bones. It was, oh, I get this now. To the point where when one of the later follow-up games, Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, I am convinced the only reason they did that game is because they had Matt Mercer.
That much? Oh.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm like, I watched that first trailer of that game, and I'm like, yeah, you're doing this because of Matt Mercer, not Ugaki. I know this in my I know this in my heart. And so when this song starts blaring and I'm fighting actual Majima but in English this time, yeah, there was that relief. They got the character right, and that was a real fear I had.
Yeah, and they got him right in more than just the tone of voice.
Yeah.
He just plays a role that's very consistent, and that's not the kind of mimified version of Majima that was seen through the very special situation he's in Yakuza 0 and the kind of reputation he built up in the fandom, but it's just a consistent version of Majima that makes sense for this era.
Yeah. So yeah, that was in itself a giant relief, especially when being introduced to, since Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon is such a completely different game, and what they considered at the time to be a jump-off point. I no longer agree with that for reasons that I won't get into now. But for something that was supposed to be kind of a soft reboot, reintroducing this character and not memifying him, and nailing the performance in both languages, again, relief. It felt good knowing they actually cared. At least at this point, they cared.
Also, kind of a story relief for the long-term fans to see that, oh yeah, he's still with his bro, they're fighting together.
Yeah.
And on the gameplay point of view, this boss fight is at the end of a stealth sequence. Now, this is not a stealth game.
No.
And you can actually punch your way through this entire sequence.
Sure can.
But if you at least try, it's nice to, like, there's this feeling that there's a bit of a relief in not needing to sneak around, and it's just dudes plus Saiko and Eri punching each other, and letting loose feels nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the vibe.
It's funny that both of these moments of relief also come with, they started with semi-off-screen intros, which is like, oh, you're really like, yeah, we're going to show this off.
Oh, yeah. Also, it's kind of funny that this is also the biggest difficulty spike in the game.
They literally tell you to go level up before you go do this.
They give you a grinding arena just to level up for this fight specifically.
That was a great touch.
Oh, yeah.
That explains the energy I got, because I had some questions about how this was gonna tie into relief.
I hope I answered those questions.
You have. Very successfully.
Now, I know you're not a Star Trek fan, so you probably, or a Yakuza fan for that matter, so I'm hoping I explained that in a way that helped you follow along.
I mean, I know the meme of I am not a X, I'm a doctor, or whatever. Everyone knows that line.
Sure.
But yeah, no, it makes sense. I think it's kind of similar to the feeling of, like, when, let's say, Batman Arkham Origins came out, and we knew Mark Hamill was not going to be the Joker for that one.
Right.
But then we got the performance, and oh, okay, I see this now. This feels like a younger Joker that would become the raspier Mark Hamill Joker.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, exact kind of thing.
In that line, we would like to inspire hope and the possibility that things will turn okay for any long-time Final Fantasy Tactics fans that will have an official version with full voice acting in a few months.
Timothy Watson as Thunder God Sid is a choice. I don't know about that one. I'm going to be honest.
We'll see how that turns out. Also, isn't Ben Starr Dice Dog?
Yes. He's going to be great. I have no worries about him. Ben Starr has proven himself to be very loudly at this point.
Man's got range.
He does.
As Matt Mercer does.
He does.
Those two can play anything.
Acting!
On the subject of acting, let's talk about, some of the worst acting in Final Fantasy history, at least in one particular scene, but not the scene we're talking about. How about some Final Fantasy X?
Very nice transition, but I disagree with its message.
I like memeing on it, but I know the two of them are not supposed to be actually laughing in that scene, and people just kind of take it a different way because it's funny to dunk on. I do think there were some acting issues in Final Fantasy X. For one thing, I don't think Haiti Perez was any good in this game. She was much better in 10-2.
Oh, yeah.
So there's definitely some early Square acting jank going on in here.
I mean, to be fair, if we're going to talk about a character that eventually lets loose, that's one as well.
Yep, there you go.
But let's circle back to the start of Final Fantasy X.
Sure.
You have the intro sequence in another world, and you end up transported by way of giant monster whale to a sequence that's dark and oppressive, where you start in a cave, and your very first quest from that point is to find something to make a fire, because otherwise you're going to freeze to death. And then you find people, but they hit you in the face with the butt of their rifles, and they don't even speak your language, and it's a rough time for Tidus at this point. But then the first bit of relief is on the boat they force you to walk in, where you finally meet one character that actually speaks your language in Riku. And you eat a terrible-looking airplane food kind of thing, and at least it's food, so that's pretty great. But there's still this oppressive, overcast skybox, and everything looks dark, and the ship as well is this heavy piece of clunky machine that looks like it's about to break at any point, and then the sea explodes. Well, technically it more like sprouts as sin reappears, but they don't even show it at this point. And you get what seems to be transported again, and that's the time where this music plays, because you wake up nose in the sea, and the first thing you see before even any people, any Skye or anything, is, as Tidus so eminently say, Blitzball! And then you see this luxurious blue water, you see this lovely little tropical island, you see a bunch of dorks playing on the beach, you see the bright blue skies that feel completely at odds with the coming era of Brown and Bloom, and it feels for a moment you might be somewhere else but back home, or at least, at the very least, back in civilization, especially since you exchange a few words with people you understand. And this music that accompanies this sequence and the cutscene that's along reflects that beautifully. It's bright, it's cheery, it's charming, it's a great contrast to all of the more subdued, more heavy sequences and music from before. And it's just the kind of song that says, "We're back, baby."
Okay.
Emotionally. Yeah. Because he isn't back, but that's something that will become clear over the course of the game.
Right.
Also, you should feel relief at the fact that I picked the normal in-game version and not the version from the mod that changes the entire soundtrack of Final Fantasy X with a MIDI instrument based off the Tidus Sloth.
Yeah, we've talked about that mod a couple of times now.
I'm never going to miss an occasion not to mention it.
I know. Yeah, this song's cute. I remember it, like, sonically, but I've got to be honest, I did not recall at all where it appeared in the game. It just did not stick in my head. So I'm like, yeah, this is nice.
Yeah, it's more the way the song accompanies the sequence. Also of note, the main through line of the song, the that's Tidus's character theme. So it's personal in that way too.
Yeah, I, not knowing the context at all, I mostly got some strong early 2000s RPG vibes off of this. Like,
shocking, which makes sense for a 2001 RPG.
Yeah, but like when we talk Final Fantasy, it usually sounds more uniquely Final Fantasy. This one gave me some Zelda and Suikoden vibes.
I guess without the context, without even the setting in mind, it does just sound like the start of a new adventure.
Something like that.
And given that this is kind of the exact starting point of the continuous journey, the pilgrimage you eventually accompany Yuna in, it makes sense.
I can definitely see that. It reminded me mostly of the overworld themes for some Suikoden and Zelda games. No, it's
I guess I can hear a little of Wind Waker in here if I squint really hard.
It's mostly the vibes, honestly, not necessarily the actual melody.
That's
Except
fair.
for Suikoden. I think Suikoden actually reminded me a little bit melodically. But
I see.
It has that sort of shiny new world vibe. It's a rare Final Fantasy song where I don't really have too much to say, but it sounds neat.
Well, to me it sounds like the morning sun has vanquished the horrible night.
Wrong entry in the franchise, but yes, Castlevania. But yeah, this... So
technically,
Daybreak,
this can be a wrong entry in two ways.
What's the other way?
Order of Ecclesia.
I always forget
which
that
itself
one.
is a reference to Castlevania 2 in this instance, but still.
Yeah, I always forget that one made that reference.
Yeah.
But this one is Daybreak from Dracula X Chronicles, which I can't believe I haven't brought up before, because this is one of those songs that scream me.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally the first line of my notes are atmospheric choir and cool piano arpeggios. How did I never bring this song up before?
That's a very good question. I'm glad you're finally asking it.
Yeah. But yeah, this is the credits theme for Dracula X Chronicles. So it's again sort of that relief of a mission complete.
Yeah.
Of Dracula being killed and the sun returning because he has that curse where it's eternal night wherever he is.
Yeah, the hero bringing about a time of calm by vanquish the ever reoccurring evil. Wait, no, we're not talking about FF10 anymore.
How many Japanese games can we describe with that sentence?
I mean, these are the two main ones that come to mind.
I would say a good 70% of them, if we're being completely honest, but please continue.
Yeah, I was gonna say Zelda counts. But yeah, this is a song that I've enjoyed for many, many years. I've never played Dracula X Chronicles, mostly because I've never had a PSP where it came on?
I believe it's a PSP, yes.
Yeah. I think it was either that or a PS Vita, and I never had either of those, so whatever. But yeah, I never got to play this game. But this song is really, really neat. Like, ever since I first listened to it, I've obviously enjoyed it because it is a very me song, as I just mentioned. And it's very neat that it starts off very relaxing, like almost like you're calming down after the big boss fight, and then it gets a little bit of energy as the percussion and the horns kick in.
Yeah, like the start feels like the adrenaline winding down, and you can like breathe a little.
Yeah, and
no better relief.
Yeah, kind of like the adrenaline wearing off first, and then as the horns kick in, it's more the glorious sight of the sun coming back, something like that. It's at least how I envision it. I don't know if that's the composer's intention.
The composer being specifically Michiru Yamane for this, it's one of the two arranges she worked on. Thanks, VGMDB.
Yeah, this sounds a little like her work.
Shocking that I enjoy it, considering how much of a fan of her work I am.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
But yeah, there's a movement from solemnity and a return to a bit of breathing room, and then a sense of victory, of triumph. It's pretty great.
It's honestly, out of the Castlevania games that I've played, it's probably my favorite end credits theme. And then I haven't even played this one. I've only listened to the soundtrack. But I really, really enjoy this one.
I mean, it's pretty. It's a pretty song. It's hard for me to say much about Castlevania because Castlevania sounds so distinctly like Castlevania. I'm like, this is a Castlevania end credits music. I understand why it's relieving, but it does leave kind of very little room for me to really talk about because instrumentally or arrangement-wise, at least, it doesn't really do anything too wild. It just sounds like good Castlevania music.
It kind of defined itself to the point where we kind of know what it sounds like. And
yeah.
I suppose there would be more to say in kind of defining it and using our words to state it, but that's more like the work of an episode where we would focus exclusively on that, I feel.
Which we have already done.
Indeed. Yeah, we did do the Michiru Yamane concert.
We also did a Castlevania special for Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh, we did.
We did. It was like 3 years ago at least.
We're old.
Good.
What comes right now is an interesting contrast between a song that emphasizes the return of dawn to another that emphasizes the return of the night.
Well, yes, but also this is another meta pick. Although that is actually a lot more relevant the way you put it. So, between announcing the episode theme and selecting our picks, the new patch was about to come out. And in FF14...
For Final Fantasy XIV.
Yes, I'm sorry. For Final Fantasy XIV. In FF14, there is, of course, PvP, and PvP comes with certain rewards, and those rewards expire as of a patch. I hadn't finished by the time this new patch was announced, and I was so messed up and busy in July that it became very difficult for me to find the time to do this.
For the record, they eventually are supposed to come back, but this can take over a year.
Yeah, we're finally getting some of the original Series 1 rewards, when now we're on Series, 7. Anyway, so there was a mount at a high PvP Battle Pass rank, and I didn't have it yet, and I took exception to the fact that I didn't have it yet, so that meant it was time to grind some PvP, which sucks. It's not fun. It's fun enough for me to actually be kind of decent at it now, but it's also like I would rather be doing anything else. And every patch cycle, it happens like this. I start going, I'm going to do at least one PvP every day and just earn this naturally. Oh, wait, I don't like PvP. I'm going to not do that. Oh, we're getting close to the next patch. I still don't have the mount. Time to rush into a whole bunch of PvP. It's the same cycle every patch. It never changes.
Wow, it's funny. I can't relate to putting off a task until it becomes a never-ending circle of panic at all.
Right? So I'm going through this PvP
also
grind.
Lying.
Yeah. So I'm going through this PvP grind. It's awful. I get some wins. I get some losses. I'm burned out as all hell. Finally, I finish it. Finally, I finish my PvP grind. I get my mount. I'm like, I need to do something to warm down. I need to do something to take my mind off of this and play this game in a way that isn't PvP. So I'm like, I haven't finished this guy's custom delivery at Uematsu. Let's go and do that. Let's go fishing. So I go to Uematsu. This song is playing, and I swear it sounds like the best song I've ever heard in my life. It's not PvP music. I love it. I'm so relieved to be done.
And of course, you will learn your lesson this time and do things more progressively this patch.
I'm going to try, but we both know I'm going to fail.
Indeed.
As someone who does not play FF14, I listened to that entire story, and all I can think of is, yeah, I guess it's a good thing I stopped playing World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
You were supposed to say, yeah, I guess it's a relief I stopped playing World of Warcraft. Stay in theme! Branding! Come on!
Rena has a point.
I need to keep up my kayfabe.
Exactly.
But yeah, this one is entirely personally contextual, and I just really wanted to tell that story. So that's the whole reason it's a pick here.
Although it's not like it's absurd within the universe and within the first time you hear it.
No, you nailed that, actually. I wasn't even thinking like that, obviously.
Yeah, I do enjoy Uncle Galen's storytime moments, but I do kind of feel like the song fits the idea of relief in general. It's like I even have in my notes here. I read again. I read the first line of my notes for this song verbatim. Quote: "Do I really need to say Final Fantasy XIV has pretty piano melodies every single time? I swear, it always comes up on this podcast." End quote.
Especially since, while this one is 2 expansions before Dawn Trail, the current expansion, that has in all its new areas piano mix of the night themes. This one had a more diverse set of night themes, but this one was piano only. So a little bit of a fun observation there that it is a bit time shifted in this way. That's cool.
It all kind of came together. Somewhat accidentally, but it all kind of came together.
All skill.
Now, here's a game I haven't thought about in a real long time, except for the fact that the closest thing I get to a sequel to it is the aforementioned Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. Let's talk about some Skies of Arcadia.
Yeah, Skies of Arcadia. For the Sega Dreamcast, though, I always only played the version on the GameCube, because I had a GameCube and not a Dreamcast.
I played the Dreamcast version, I played half of the GameCube version, but then my girlfriend at the time borrowed it, and then we broke up, so I never saw it again.
Oof.
You have my sympathies.
Thank you.
I too has lost some treasured games and systems when it came to breaking contact with some people.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to go for a bit of a contrast with what I expected would be a lot of story-focused picks. with something that comes back regularly. And this one is the standard boss theme, but only part of it, because Skies of Arcadia's boss theme is divided into 3 parts and changes dynamically depending on what's happening in the fight. This is a gameplay-centered pick, because the boss battle starts pretty heavy, like the first things you hear are some of the deepest notes you can coax out of a piano. And it gets worse whenever you have one party member down, where it's just this very short loop of panic and oh no, something's going wrong. But, on the contrary, if you are about to finish that boss battle and everybody's alive and everything is doing well, this oppressive boss battle turns into this bright, cheery, heroic music that is essentially the boss hearing your boss battle theme, in a way.
Yeah.
And this is the turnaround, and the fact that it happens dynamically in-game, dependent on your action, it felt very fitting, because especially when it's the later part of a boss fight, but they unleash a big attack and suddenly you have 2 people dying and you're trying to recover. This is a bit of a moment, and when you manage to actually get back on your feet and get the train rolling again, well, the boat rolling again, I suppose, if we are back in a gameplay sense and the music accompanies you and you're like, I'm doing something right again.
Yeah. No, there is a couple of games that do that. I remember, what the hell was it called? I almost called it something else. The Last Remnant had a similar mechanic.
Yes, it did.
Actually,
yes,
so did Xenoblade, but I liked that song a lot less than the actual battle music in a lot of cases, so I would deliberately prevent myself from getting advantages so I can keep listening to the regular music.
I mean,
get
that's
it.
fair.
That's kind of part of why I limited going into overdrive mode in Xenoblade Chronicles X while in Max, for very similar reasons. But yeah, this one is a track that... It's the first track that came to my mind when it came to this episode's theme, and I do like my gameplay-driven music changes and alterations, which is why this is actually a double pick, because Skies of Arcadia, great game, reacts to what you're doing in battle, but it's a turn-by-turn game.
Right.
And what happens when you go for something that's more action-driven? Well, you can get, say, Devil May Cry's way of doing things. Or specifically Devil May Cry 5. I actually looked it up. They only had the in-battle music changes in Devil May Cry 5, not the games before. But it's a very cool feel to have the song that evolves, and when you are doing very well and you get in S rank for style, the parts that's the most intense and the most cool accompanies you there.
Didn't Killer Instinct also do that? Wasn't that a big part of that soundtrack?
Killer Instinct is more complicated. It's more about the flow of battle overall than about your position in it and how you're doing in it. It's more symmetrical, whereas Devil May Cry 5, when you're doing well, it's great. When the enemies are doing bad, it's great, and vice versa.
Okay.
But I feel that Devil May Cry is... a bit of an unexpected pick for that theme, and I recently got back big way into More Than Less Zone Zero, which happened to take a direct leaf from Devil May Cry 5 with one of its new modes. And it's also a bit of a meta pick in this way, because after the last patch for this game turned out to be, in my opinion, the worst bit of content they did that kind of denatured the game. The patch that came after while not rejecting what they did in the previous patch and pretending this didn't happen or anything weird like that, was back to the tone of what made me like the game in the first place. And I went and finally did the Battle Tower mode, which is a mode that was in the game for quite a while now. I believe like 6 or 8 months, something like that. But it's a mode of continuous battles, and you don't heal between waves of enemies. And there's like one full party shielder and one good healer in the game, and I don't have either of those, so I was a bit intimidated. But I got over that because I heard that music out of context, and it turned out to be the single best mode in the game, and the version that came out this patch is an even better version, where on top of a high-risk battle where the thing that can end your run isn't a timer, but actual enemies punching you in the face and killing you in 3 hits, forcing you to focus on the gameplay of your character a lot and being reactive and being dynamic about it. It adds a style system where you get rewarded for doing advanced maneuvers, like hitting with multiple of your characters at the same time and doing animation cancels from EX into ultimates, advanced cool attack, time dodges and the likes. And basically it rewards you for getting in the zone by having a rank system, again very similar to Devil May Cry, except it caps at S rank, or Supernova as they call it there. And when you are in Supernova, you have the vocal version of the song, and if you get hit in the face, you get knocked down back to the instrumental version.
Okay.
So having the vocals with it, having the song sung at you, means that you're doing good, and that's a relief.
I get it. No, the second you compare to Devil May Cry, I'm like, oh, right, pull my devil trigger. No, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm thinking of Metal Hellsinger over here.
Oh, yeah.
Adds more instruments as you go up in rank too. Capping off the vocals at the end.
Also extremely valid.
And getting in a flow state like that feels like it's a bit of a roundabout way to feed the theme, but for something that's more active and just a more rested state, it feels like it fits.
So here's the thing. This song itself, I'm thinking to myself, if this song came out in the early 2000s, it would be one of my favorite songs of all time. Which is weird, given that it's a dubstep track. But here's the thing. It sounds an awful lot like a game I played a lot of, and that is Duke Nukem 3D. Specifically, I think it was the PlayStation 1 version, where the first real level had Stabbing Westward, the thing I hate, as the main theme on it. I think that was unique to that version. And I'm like, I mean, this sounds like Stabbing Westward, but dubstep. I'm down with this.
I didn't know about this song's version of Duke Nukem 3D. I only played the DOS version.
Yeah, there was one version, I think it was PlayStation 1, where there was a Stabbing Westward licensed track, and I was already a Stabbing Westward fan going into this.
But yeah, the song is very good. It's by an artist named Ymir that's that's been hired a couple of times before by Hoyo, but for character themes. He did the trailer music videos for later for Zenless Zone Zero, and for Finan in Honkai Star Rail like a month before that, and now this is his first in-game track, and it's the reason why I got around to my worries and just play this mode, and this feels extremely rewarding to get there.
I absolutely believe it. It sounds really cool. I just without in the context, I enjoyed this song a lot. I'm surprised how much I enjoyed it.
Well,
No,
that's wonderful. I did too.
I wasn't familiar with Stabbing Westward, but I also ended up with a comparison in my mind to a big rock band that was particularly huge in the 2000s. And the thought that came to my mind was, what if Linkin Park but dubstep?
I don't hear it quite the same. It's a little too industrial, I think.
Yeah, like the comparison isn't absurd for the rest of the artist's output. I looked things up because I also really like the character songs he did, so I was like, might as well listen to what else he does. And there's some good stuff, but while my mind didn't go to like a Linkin Park, it goes more to an Imagine Dragons, perhaps.
What?
In some of the tracks, yeah. In some of the tracks, it's definitely more like that. He has.
I thought you meant this song. I'm like, how do you get?
No, not this song.
Okay.
Overall, he has a bit of a chiller vibe with a fantasy tint that reminded me of that. And this song is kind of out of his wheelhouse, and like. Because he tends to collab a lot, and apparently the synergy with the Hoyo-MiX and Sanzi production staff is working very well for him. And yeah, this song is my favorite for him.
I can see why.
Yeah.
If the rest sounds like Imagine Dragons, then I'm there with you.
Not all the rest, but tonally it's closer.
Yeah, this sounds an awful, like, the one thing that Eddie and my picks both got to is it's kind of new metal adjacent, which is why I said I would love the song in the early 2000s, and still like it quite a bit now.
Of course.
So I think that's one thing we both hit upon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like, the one thing stopping me from saying I enjoyed the song is that it's dubstep. I'm not a dubstep guy. But I even noted down, if someone does a metal mix of this, I am so putting that in my workout playlist.
Yeah.
I did think that too, because like, as much as I like it, if there was a good beefy guitar that had a bit more incisiveness, especially at the big drop points, I think that would take it to the next level.
Yeah. No, this was just south of metal.
Absolutely.
And the last time
the vocals are kind of there.
Yeah, the vocals, as I said, very Stabbing Westward, who were like lighter industrial metal, industrial hard rock, kind of that energy. And they were a rock band and they did have guitars. So,
yes,
like the fact that I was able to make that comparison pretty much immediately it says a lot. This song needs guitars. I want to hear a guitar version. Someone make a metal version of this song. It'll be great.
Huge agree there.
You're the one who brought it up. I'm agreeing with you.
No,
I was the one who
was
brought
I
it
the
up.
first to bring up the guitar would add something? I thought it was you.
I was the one who said that if there was a metal version, it would go on my workout playlist.
Then we both agreeing with you. All right, we figured it out.
I like being right, I guess.
Good.
Congrats.
I love how this conversation turned into us trying not to take credit for the idea.
Remember
right,
we did remember how we did an episode about memory? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, in conclusion,
well, it's a relief to get that sorted out.
Being buoyed by the system, being in the flow state, and hearing "You gotta fight" in the song is good and fun and makes you enjoy the game. Actually, so that's
can
a
see
relief. Yeah. And now let's move on to something with a weird track name for sure, but that's a bit par for the course for the Age of Mythology soundtrack.
Yeah, Age of Mythology and bizarre soundtrack titles is like name a more iconic duo.
Oh, yeah.
So this song is called "If You Can Use a Doorknob." Anyone want to take guesses where it plays?
I don't know. Like, this does not sound like anything involving doors.
Yep. It plays when you open the stats after a match if you won the match.
Okay, so it did have a victorious feeling. I did know that, but then it takes it one step towards the weird. Great job.
Age of Mythology soundtrack, like everything has a bizarre name. There's a song called Adult Swim. I am not joking.
Yeah.
But
Was
yeah,
Arcadia Mitten's Age of Mythology or Age of Empires?
that's Age of Mythology. That's the main theme.
Aha.
Yeah, it's a trip. It's a trip. Don't think too much about the titles is my recommendation for anyone
Yes.
who wants to go into the Age of Mythology soundtrack.
Yeah. I feel like the composer only cares about the actual composition and just titles it whatever a randomizer punts out. Like, I just do not understand why it's called this.
I don't think anyone does. But yeah, the original version was by Stephen Rippey and Kevin McMullen. The version on Age of Mythology Retold is basically the same, just more high fidelity. But yeah, this is less a calm and chill version of Relief and more of a hell yeah, I did this. Because it's the victory theme, and not only that, it's a victory theme in a game all about mythical creatures and powerful gods, and so of course it's gonna be over the top.
Yeah, that's really what I got out of the song. There's a lot of levity, it's very light, the choir and instrument choices make it feel like not just a victory, but a united victory. Like in Age of Mythology, there's three main types of unit. There's monsters, there's heroes, and there's humans, and this feels like your selection of those working together hand in hand, and having done that successfully and got that coalition victory.
Honestly, you could even make that argument about different elements coming together to win in terms of the gods, because the way Age of Mythology works, for anyone who hasn't played, is you pick a major god as your starting civilization, and then as you go up in ages, you choose between two minor gods per age. So you can end up with like a total of 4 gods, let's say. Not that they are physically on the map, but you pick them when you tech up the next level of tech.
Yeah, and in the end, you have your little pantheon that you guided to victory.
And you hear the song about your little pantheon that guided you to victory while you look at graphs of how the game went.
Sweet, sweet graphs and stats about how you kind of missed placing your villagers correctly between 8 and 9 minutes of the game, but you made it work anyway.
But I like that, like, even though it is kind of over the top for all the mythological aspect of the game, there's also the part of the choir. It gets into a very steady rhythm that kind of feels like a victory march as well.
Yeah,
it's not just like, oh, glorious sounds, oh, glory, 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 glory. There's an element that kind of grounds things oh so slightly, and ironically happens when the choir shows up.
Yeah, it's a victory earned, not a victory given.
And if you're like me and you're the kind of guy who plays against the AI a lot and you like slow macro games, it's also a relief that it's finally over sometimes.
Yeah.
Let's just say there's a reason.
Your fault for building 3 layers of walls and 72 towers.
Let's just say there's a reason that I used to play Protoss.
I don't understand what that means, but I'll give you a thumbs up.
The cannon crawl.
Oh, okay. Now I All right.
Either that or the slow build up into the Protoss Death Ball.
Yeah.
Got it. For my Dune 2 playing self, that would be more like the Harkonnen. Or Dune 2000, I think, was actually the one I played, but my point remains. That was their whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
In Age of Mythology, there's a reason I play the Atlanteans a lot. They are the everything is expensive as hell, but very powerful civilization.
Now, how about we go from a victory track to... Wait, we lost?
Well, okay, so I'm going to tell a little brief story about the Expedition 33 subreddit.
Oh boy.
As of yesterday...
Somehow, this feels like a wilder tangent than talking about Star Trek.
I was gonna say, I mentioned earlier that I enjoy Uncle Galen's storytime moments, but when you end it with, in the subreddit, I go, oh god.
This isn't actually that bad. Here's the thing. So yesterday and the day before, the enemy randomizer mod came out. So the subreddit's getting a lot of screenshots of how that plays out. And there was one single forum thread. Am I cooked? I click it. The very first battle in the game, it's just Gustav alone. You know this one, it's the tutorial fight. It's right after you get to the continent. You've all been through this. And I see a sword. And I'm like, oh god. And there it is. 5 little letters that will put fear in your heart. SIMON. Simon says, die. Simon is one of the 2 game's super bosses. Now, one of the super bosses is super story relevant, and I'm not going to talk about them at all. This guy is
I thought this was just a difficulty spike. No, okay, super boss.
Super boss.
Well then.
This is one that I spent... I'm sorry?
Does the enemy randomizer adjust stats for where you are in the game?
That has not been answered. If not, this fight is literally impossible.
Yeah, I figured. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I mean, is he cooked?
It depends on the answer to your question, because if stats scale, he might not be. If stats don't scale, yes. In fact, one of the comments was, all right, start writing your Expedition 32 journal. Like, you're done.
Yep.
Simon is a footnote in the story. He is also an unholy nightmare for reasons that will take me a very long time to get into. The short version is, well, as I said, Simon says die.
Yeah, I mean, the track is named We Lost again.
Yeah. It kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit on the nose.
A little bit.
Now, I do have one question.
Yes.
Why is it in this episode?
Simple, because Expedition 33 doesn't have victory music, so this song is still playing on the windscreen. And I listened to it for like 10 minutes.
Oh. Very personal picks today.
What is relief if not personal? I have to be the one feeling it for it to count.
Fair.
Literally, this is the one time that I picked something that actually is an intended reaction. Although you did note that Ilmag Knight is also an intended reaction. I just missed it because I'm dumb. But this time I was literally looking for, how about a super boss that I beat? Because what's a bigger relief than that? And I think about the super bosses I've been fighting. The last few Amon fights in Yakuza have been way too easy and not really a relief when I beat them. The Demi-Fiend from Digital Devil Saga was 2 decades ago, and like, what? Do I just use the Digital Devil Saga win music? I don't think so. And I'm like, oh, right, Simon. But there's no windscreen music in this one. Oh, well. This is literally like I'm trying to encapsulate the feeling you get from beating something obscene like Consort Radon and Shadow of the Erdtree, a game that I haven't played.
Yeah, and I did think in my initial search about RPG victory music, so this kind of fits the bill. And I'm glad someone went for something like that, even if this also plays during the fight that apparently, is not a relief at all, but a complete.
I think I streamed this fight for about. I think I
comprehension.
streamed this fight about 2 days straight.
Okay.
Oh God.
Yeah. Like, when it comes to the difficulty of the game, there's Simon and there's everything else.
And when it comes to the song itself, hot damn, the vocals and the percussions are just brimming with determination.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
This is a song that wants you to do good. It wants you to win against overwhelming odds and feel good about it.
It does!
Kind of like Celeste in a way.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good way of putting it.
Like, it places overwhelming obstacle a bit out of the way in case you don't want to go around them, because that's a super boss.
Yes.
And it says, hey, wanna feel good about yourself? How about you take that big guy and you punch him and you knock him out?
Yeah, exactly. 100% yes.
I respect it a lot.
Yeah. And yes, you're correct that this is completely out of the way. The other super boss, being as story relevant as it is, there's a large subset of the fandom who thinks it probably should have been mandatory. This one does not get that at all. This is in a completely optional area, hidden very far away from everything. It has a prerequisite of like 2 other optional quests just to even access the zone. So, like, even just getting here is you have to work for it. So getting through it and beating it is a relief. And then after I beat him, they introduced a patch that lets you refight the guy. So, thanks, Sandfall.
Nice. Yeah, like, this sounds like it's in line with the fact that this game has a world map. Why? Because, hey, we liked world map. Why don't we have one anymore? We have one in our game now.
Yeah.
Why don't we have completely absurd super bosses? Let's make one.
This is the hardest.
There's no real reason not to.
This is the hardest super boss I fought since the Demi-Fiend in Digital Level Saga 1. And if you've heard anything about the Demi-Fiend, you know how ridiculous it is. Now, being that this is Expedition 33, you can set up a one-shot kill build because Mael is OP, but that's a whole other conversation that's kind of outside the relevance of this. If you're Bushi, or not Bushi, if you're Gino Machino, you can one-shot Consort Radon too, so you can in-game
difficulty
cheat
is
still.
what you made of it.
Yeah, the difficulty is what you make of it. I beat the guy. I did have to use kind of a nuke build, but I got there.
Oh, yeah.
Now imagine doing this at another thing that same patch introduced, which is 100 times health. Good luck nuking then.
Oh God.
But the fact that this victory came after 2 days of continuous streaming of the same boss totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Got there. I'm just going to feel like 10 times my weight in my chair, just taking it in.
Exactly. It was the intended reaction. Finally, I got one that's intended, so I had to include it.
Exactly. Excellent.
Also, sorry, go on.
I'm just hearing the stories about the things Sandfall added in patches, and I'm thinking, I guess they've read the reviews that said it was a Souls-like turn-based RPG. They took offense to the Souls-like part.
How so? I don't get the joke.
It would be weird to take offense to the turn-based RPG part.
Eddie, how so? I don't quite get the joke.
Because they are making it extremely hard like a Souls-like with those patches.
Oh. Okay, fair enough. I think the 100 times health is actually like an option that's helpful for New Game Plus to make it more challenging. I think that was the intended, but of course people are using it on Simon because why wouldn't they?
Also, I will not leave this hill that Souls-like are not defined by their difficulty. Like, to me, what makes Souls-likes good aren't that they're super hard, bro.
No, unfortunately, I would actually say kind of an unfair reputation the subgenre has had.
That is the meme Majima of this genre.
Yes. Wow, way to bring it back around. And
thank you.
In fact, I was going to make a counterpoint, once again bringing up Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. One of my biggest complaints about Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is it's way too easy. And the Super Boss kind of bore that out. Like all Amon fights, the Super Boss it has a gimmick. It took me 2 tries because I did mess up and didn't realize what the gimmick was at first. Once I figured out what the gimmick was, I went to go do it, and I did it wrong. I hit the wrong button. I didn't do the Super Boss gimmick correctly. I hit something completely different, and won anyway because Majima is just that good. There was no real relief there.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it was real bad. I messed up the counter and still got it. So I was never going to include that track on here because what relief did I feel? I just got it done. That's not relieving, it's just there.
You want to take victories from the jaws of danger, not have it handed to you on a soft platter.
Exactly. So, we will talk about that if and when we ever get to... We will talk about that if and when we ever get to Year of the Dragon. Anyway, now you can do your transition.
Yeah. This does neatly brings us to why I chose the next and last track of this episode, which is Won the Lawsuit, the English mix. And this is a remaster of the original Won the Lawsuit track from the original Ace Attorney, but that's the Professor Layton versus Ace Attorney version.
Got it.
And this just felt like it was the most the victory theme that you can sit on the most, because fights in action games or even turn-based RPG tend to be a pretty quick matter, and you snowball eventually. The Ace Attorney series is based on, centered around one main word, which is turnabout, which means that the more you think you have it in the bag, the more somebody is going to pull something out of nowhere and just ruin your whole argument, and it keeps you in this sense of tension of, am I doing it? Oh no, this happened. I should have all the evidence in my bag right now. What do you mean they have updated the autopsy report? Etc., etc. And this builds a constant sense of tension until you have the ultimate win in the case, and then you can breathe.
Okay.
And that's kind of my point, because of the tension that comes before, because of this escalation. You can never truly be sure, and you can't really be sure you're done with a case until you hear that kind of theme, you see the confetti's firing, and you know it's over. Anything before that could be the death knell of your case. And you're fighting not just for yourself, but for someone else as well. So there's stakes always, and my ultimate point, that's also found in the Expedition 33 tracks, and probably in the Age of Mythology track, if you're honest, is that great relief comes as part of a counterpoint to a great tension, and the two go hand in hand together, and it feels good to overcome.
Yeah.
I think that's my ultimate thesis.
I mean, my entire last song was based on that thesis, just in terms of a more traditional boss fight as opposed to an intellectual one like what you have. But that's the whole point.
Indeed.
That's what relief is. You're facing down this big, giant thing. Whether that thing is intellectual or physical is kind of irrelevant. You beat it. You won. Now you can feel relieved that you did so. That's extremely valid.
Yeah.
I have nothing to add to that, really. That's pretty much the definition as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, exactly. And as it comes to the track itself, I feel like it's a very pure expression of it. It's it's a soft, gentle victory track of that just says, "Oh, it's okay, it's over. You won."
So I know the title is English, and I assume means there's a different version in Japanese, but it sounds...
Nope. It's the English mix because the first court case of the crossover game Professor Layton versus Ace Attorney happens in an English court.
Oh.
Because Professor Layton is English.
Well, that explains why it sounds so Edwardian. I'm like, here's another version of it. Here's another version of that English statement, because it sounds like it's early 1900s English.
Yeah, no, this is the game where you get isekai and act as an attorney / puzzle solver duo in witch trials.
That's incredibly weird, but also kind of cool.
Huh.
Yep.
I can't say that's what I expected the plot of this crossover to be, but sure.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me, you haven't heard anything yet.
Oh boy. I do know
the
that
crossover is legit. It's done with the heart. Like, essentially, after the series moved to Ace Attorney for the start of a new license, there was a split in teams where the new team moved on to continue working on the main entry games, while Shu Takumi, the original creator, worked on the crossover games and the games in Sherlock Holmes Victorian England.
It's funny that you say Victorian, because I was going for, again, Edwardian, but still, that's funny as hell.
I
confuse my Edwardians and Victorians.
Don't we all? I just noted down about the song that it's a very relaxed victory theme that kind of has the same vibe as a well-composed British gentleman, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Which is very much a lot of Professor Layton's persona. Which is funny because the mix has that those kind of notes, but the original song is outside of the crossover. Like I said, it's a remix, which is why it's called the English mix, because it's the remix of the original victory theme from the first Phoenix Wright, back on the Game Boy Advance.
That makes sense.
Which is also why it's pretty simple in its composition.
Yeah. If you're taking on GBA music, you've got work to do. I get it.
Exactly. But there we go. I think with the explanation on what the song represented, we've kind of covered what the theme worked for. So I think we're done with the body of the episode, and we can move on to Music Arcade Now Playing.
I will go ahead and start, because I kind of have nothing. I have FF14, the new patch just dropped. I'm about halfway through it now.
Yep.
I will probably talk about the music more in detail when I actually get to the combat segments of it. I have not done so yet. Secondly, I have been playing a lot of Tower Dominion, which is a really fun roguelite tower defense game. It just has, like, a bad soundtrack. Like, it's just practically not there, and what is there is not very good.
Not a fan of the main menu theme, and I can't think much of any other music.
Pretty much exactly. And then...
Even though I really like the game as well.
Yeah. And then the event that was in Arknights was 3 weeks long, so that's the most recent music even still that I posted last episode. So, yeah.
All right.
So that's it for me.
Well, as for me, besides also Tower Dominion and Zen Less Than Zero, which I covered in the body of the episode because I'm sneaky like that, I've played a fair bit of The King Is Watching as well, which is this fun roguelite management game that has some pretty enjoyable tracks. It does this thing where there's one main track throughout the game that takes a more dramatic twist when your castle and city are being attacked.
Okay.
So, nice little set of variation on a theme, and it doesn't really get old. It's fine music. I like it. But yeah, not really much else for the no playing section. Eddie, take us to what you've been playing.
So, rather than starting with the obvious, I've started with After Ink Revival.
How is that?
Because I find it pretty interesting. It's the latest game by Endemic Productions, the guys who made Plague Inc.
Yep.
They later made Rebel Link, which was more of an RTS thing. And After Ink is sort of a city builder, but you do need troops to clear up zombies on the map. It's literally meant to be a sequel to the Necroa virus in Plague Inc. They even refer to it by name.
Okay.
Neat.
It's like, if you want a deep city builder with combat elements, this is not for you. This isn't deep, because Endemic releases stuff on mobile first, and then they make an enhanced port for PC.
Right.
So there isn't too much room to be too in depth there.
Well,
but
what you said just reminded me that was it After the Storm or during the...
Against the Storm?
Against the Storm, thank you. Brain, please. They just released their latest DLC patch, and I should play that as well. The bats are here.
They do seem to be here. I'd say that if we want to actually take the opportunity to compare, I'd say that Against the Storm is more of a city builder. After Ink is more minimalistic in how you interact.
Yeah, they tend to be more... this series, from my understanding, is more about like macro-level strategy.
Yeah, it's Endemic's style, really. Because they make mobile first, so it's more you go on the menus and tell your guys to build something, and you need to build up stamina so that they can do stuff. It's a little bit more passive. The funny thing, though, as far as the soundtrack goes, is that you might remember how on the last episode as we were talking about Destiny's motifs, I mentioned the Witch Queen, Savathun, and her motif. Yeah. When I listened to the After Ink menu theme, the first few notes are basically that motif.
Ha! So this was a Destiny peak.
I guess secretly. And
you
unbeknownst
got us
to me,
again.
But speaking of Destiny, there's a really cool thing that just happened this week.
You play Destiny?
Yeah, apparently. I guess.
Sorry.
Hey, that's my catchphrase.
Yeah, well, you've been stealing mine a lot lately, so, turnabout's fair play.
Fair.
It's only fair that the episode that started with me talking for 25 minutes about a single Destiny song ends with me talking about Destiny again, right?
There is no relief from Destiny.
Oh, God. Something really cool happened. It came out live on YouTube yesterday. If you want to check, if you want to know the day we're recording this, today is the 7th of August. Came out yesterday on the 6th, but it was recorded on July. So a fan called Peter Schumacher, he apparently was studying for a master's degree in film and video game composition. And for his thesis, he decided to make a song inspired by Destiny, which could be used as a hypothetical raid boss theme for a specific character.
Okay.
And he composed the song. He made the orchestration for the song for a 52-piece orchestra, I should note. And he put the video on his personal YouTube channel. He also conducted the orchestra, I should note. He did basically everything except play the actual instruments. And he apparently got his master's degree. It made the rounds today. Today is Thursday. Bungie releases this week in Destiny on Thursdays a community post of news about the game and also community shoutouts, and they shout out this guy. So congratulations to potentially a new video game composer in the making.
Yeah.
And it's actually a cool song too.
The fact that there's a master's degree in this topic is itself kind of amazing. In fact, Eddie, you even brought this up off stream. I'm going to do a little inside baseball here. You brought this up and was like, I know I just did a whole lot of Destiny, but I kind of want to talk about this. And my instant response was, this is cool and deserves discussion. Please bring it up in the episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we try not to double dip, so to speak, like bringing a song from a game in the main episode and bringing another for now playing. But this is a really interesting bit of news that congratulations to Peter Schumacher.
Absolutely.
Also, it naturally supports your last episode thesis about the importance of leitmotifs in Destiny's composition, judging just by the comment section that's like, oh wait, that's the Guardian theme? Amazing!
Yeah, I think he actually notes it in the description for the video as well. But everyone's basically going, the Guardian's theme, that's the DPS face, and he just liked the comment, basically confirming, yep, that's the idea.
Yeah, and if you can infer things like that, you're doing something right, clearly.
And I just want to kind of go back to something, Eddie, that you said, that we usually don't double dip. And this is one of these times where I bring out one of the key phrases that I use every once in a while, and that is, you gotta know when to break the rules. This is definitely one of those times.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And I really do recommend checking out the song. It's really neat. It's I think it's in 4/4 technically, but depending on how you listen, how your brain interprets the BPM of the song, you might actually hear it as 6/4, which is interesting because it's meant to be a sort of a dance. The theme he made is for a god of war. And his idea, according to the description of the video, is that the raid will take place on this character's home planet, which is a complete planet that's completely overtaken by the ocean. So you have the ups and downs of the ocean waves. So it has sort of that dancing vibe of that you usually get with water themes, but it's a more oppressive take because it's a boss theme for a very oppressive character.
The rising tide, but make it angry.
That's a valid interpretation as well. Yeah, I do recommend checking out, not just congratulating the guy, but actually checking out the work, because he did actually compose a really, really neat song. I can easily see this being used in the game if such a raid were to exist.
I mean, here's my response to that. Here's my obvious one, Arknights. We talked about this during a previous event, but one of the fan composers got actually hired to do music for the game at one point. So it's not like there isn't some kind of history of this in general. So it's entirely possible.
It's happening. Yeah. I brought up in our Drops episode. It happened in Destiny 1. A boss theme got a fan remix that was... it went from orchestral to being heavy metal, and the heavy metal version got used when they reprised that boss.
There you go.
It's still in the game to this day.
There you go.
So Bungie has done this before.
Yeah, if this guy's that much of a Destiny fan, I think it's a pretty... I don't want to say likely, but at least reasonable possibility that they might commission him for some stuff.
Yeah, I'd say it's just a matter of... as far as this song specifically, it's a matter of whether there is room for it to be used, because we don't know where the story will go.
Yeah.
Maybe such a raid will not exist. But as far as like hiring the guy, it's I wouldn't say likely, but very much possible, considering the level of dedication.
Love to see it.
And must have been a relief for the guy to get his degree.
And it is a relief to be done with this episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, you can find the playlist and how to contact us in the description below. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you all next time.
Goodbye.
See ya.